Hey, everybody. As always, I am Corey Tanisoff, joined by co host Gerald Mendoza, and this is the We Talk Politics podcast. So, first of all, I'd like to take a minute out of everybody's day to acknowledge my Dodgers, who I rep all day, every day, are in the World Series up 3-2. Game tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8:08 Eastern, 5:08 Pacific. And that is all for my sports plug. If you would like to catch our analyses of the next game or games, if it comes to it, you can check us out on Fridays over on the We Talk Sports podcast. And that the link will be in the description. That is our Twitter handle, and we let you know when we go live. We will be joined by co-host PJ Dolan, who owes us a fair amount in dues because of postseason errors. So now I would like to turn this focus over to the actual podcast that we have right now. So the early voting options have started to occur in many states across the United States. I believe all of them, if not at least 75%, have started as of Monday. And Gerald, you've got some numbers that. Go ahead.
We have some impressive numbers coming in of votes coming into the system, into states that have already opened, lines that are forming. I'll tell you, this is me. I went to vote yesterday, cast my ballot. And I had to check another location because the one closest to my house at 7:23 p.m., the line was still wrapping almost completely around the building. Luckily, they opened multiple voting centers, and we're not just all limited to one precinct. Our county has decided to do a center, a voting center uh, uh, project instead of just saying, here's your specific polling place. I think it works out pretty well because you have options. But the lines are long, the lines are moving, and there is a lot of stuff going on right now in the process of early voting. As of 6:08 p.m. tonight, as of 6 a.m. p.m. tonight, uh, this independent project, electproject.github.io, which is tracking all early voting numbers available for public use, has tracked 69 million. Nice.
Nice.
69,
Nice.
69 million
Nice.
645,195 early votes. Now that includes mail-in ballots and in-person voting. Mail-in ballots are up to 46,514,012, and in-person votes are at 23,131. No, 23,131,183. These are record-shattering numbers, and we still have a full week of early voting to go before actually having election day. If you look at percentages that we have in terms of in-person votes, well, actually, let me divide up the total votes. Total votes right now, as being counted in terms of party that can be identified through party affiliation that is provided by the state. The total number of those votes that they can count right now are at 33,623,414. Of those, 16,153,000 or about are registered voters in those states, which makes up about 48% of all state tracking of registered Democratic voters. 9,784,075, which is about 29.1% of all registered Republicans based on data available from states. And non-party affiliates, no party affiliation is at 485,410, which is about 22% of all available non-party affiliated voters provided to us by the state. That's in total, but in in-person voting, it shows that Republicans are outperforming Democrats at 3,094,000 in person versus 2,740,000. In returned mail ballots, Democrats have definitely taken the lead. there's 13 million, 13,413,000 returned mail-in ballots. Republicans have 6,689,000 mail-in ballots returned. And right now, based on requests and returns, 53% of all Democrats, all registered Democratic voters who have requested a ballot have returned it already, or it has been returned. There's still 7 days until election. I'm sure the USPS is continuing to work hard. 45% of all Republicans who requested a mail-in ballot have returned their ballots at this point. And so this is, these are surprising numbers. I want to bring it a little more locally to the state of Maryland, based on the demographics and in terms of they have mail-in ballots being counted right now. The Democrats have 716,000 mail-in ballots already completed and returned. The Republicans have 143,661 ballots returned through mail, and no party affiliation voters have 156,187. Based on these rates, from what I can see, the only really the big thing I want to take away from this is that there are a lot of Democratic voters who are voting absentee or voting through mail. That's to be expected. And what I'm getting from that is that I think that more Republicans are going to be voting actually early voting in person or on election day. So it'll be interesting to see the numbers. But like you said, the total number, we're almost at 70 million early votes already. Still have a week to go. And we're already more than halfway beyond what the total vote count was in the entire election in 2016.
You stole my little thunder that I wanted to put out there. So Gerald came to me earlier and said that we had 70 million already early votes cast. And I put something out there saying, I believe that is higher than 50% of what we had in the previous election. Last election, I can get the number exactly. We had 136.75 million votes cast in the 2016 election. And in early voting, we're already more than halfway there. I myself I want to take a segue real quick and then double back. I'm going to remove any compromising information. I live in Anne Arundel County, so they gave me one of these helpful ballot books, official specimen ballot, and it tells you where to vote, how to vote by mail, how to mark your ballot in any needs, and then also it shows a sample ballot on here, and then it educates you on the amendments that are applicable, and then the referendums that are put up. So in addition to going out and voting, you need to do something about these. These will make more of a difference in your life, and also your state or local elections are just as important, if not more important, to your everyday life than who is in the White House. I also wanted to address, and this is me doubling back, you made a point about how it seems as if more Democrats have, or registered Democrats, as I should say, have voted by mail. And this is, as you said, expected. It'll come down to the counted votes by mail versus the votes in person. And it can be equated to the fact of who is what people think about the current epidemic going on right now. And it takes its little time with each different group, you figure. So we had the far right who thinks, I don't want any masks on ever. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go out and live my life as normal. And then there's the I guess not even far left, because there's nothing really terrible about it. The left, who is just wear your mask, and the common sense people on either side, just wear your mask when you go out. Don't be an idiot. I've got mine right here. I rep my favorite show on television right now, The Watchmen, and you wear this and you put it around your mouth and your nose, which is probably just as important as your mouth. You put that around, or your surgical mask, or your little design, mask, whatever you want. Just wear something. If it's a Darth Vader costume wearing out of the house, do it, dude. I don't care. But go out and vote. This is very important. If you are above the age of 18, or if you're 18 or older and you don't have a felony, then go and vote. I'm not going to say it's your civic responsibility. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to say this is the most important election of your lifetime, because that sounds really short-sighted. But why wouldn't you vote? I mean, on next Tuesday, which it will be, you got nothing else to do. It's a Tuesday. Who has things on Tuesday? So go out, vote. If you can't do it on Tuesday, do it before. Early voting centers open in your state. Not if you live in Maryland, do that. If you're absentee, do that. However you figure that you're going to vote, just vote.
Right.
If you voted already, boom. Fist bump to you. Kudos. Gerald, you already voted. Kudos to you. I have not yet. I'm waiting for later this week when I have a time slot available to go sit around the polls for an hour and then vote. So I recommend everybody go out and vote. Make your voice heard, whether you're voting left, right, Libertarian, Green Party. What's the other one on the ballot in Maryland?
Bread and Roses?
Yeah, if you're going to vote the Bread and Roses Party, if you're going to vote for Ronald Reagan, like my dude Larry Hogan, if you're going to vote for Harambe, like they did in 2016, or D's Nuts, like they did in North Carolina in 2016, it doesn't matter. Go vote. Even if you don't care, go vote. Just somebody. Just pick a guy or a woman. There's one for the Libertarian Party. Just vote. That's all.
I wanted to point this out real quick. There's this cool little feature, and I think I'll add this in post because I honestly found this website after we had put up the information on our description. But again, U.S. Elections Project, it's the one that's tracking all voter, early voting right now. And they have this map that says turnout right now as percent of 2016 total turnout. So the early voting turnout as a percent of 2016's total turnout by state, the biggest jump, the biggest surprise right now is that the state of Texas right now is at, through early voting, what they've already done through early voting is at 86.9% of their total voter turnout in 2016.
And this is the second day of polling for them. They may have started last week.
I'm not exactly sure when Texas started. I think they started last week.
I do believe.
But Georgia started last week, I think. 71.4% of every vote cast in 2016. They've already covered that in early voting. Florida is at 67.1%. New Jersey is at 63.4%. Vermont is at 67%. Montana is at 75.4%. New Mexico is at 74.4%. Arizona is at 68.3%. Nevada is at 66.1%. California already reached half of what it did in 2013. And in 2 days so far, as of this afternoon, the state of Maryland has already cast 36% of every vote it casted in 2016. And Virginia has already cast half through all of its early voting.
I like these numbers.
These are significant numbers, significant increase in numbers, I think.
And what you were talking about in podcasts ago was in the last gubernatorial election in 2018, you were a poll worker, and they didn't have the capacity to do it this year. And making it so early voting is an option allows both for poll workers to get their compensation for more than just one day at that, but to get more than that, and also to keep numbers good. So there's not overflowed places like you said. The first place you went had the line around the building at 7 p.m. And when we have it diversified over the course of a week, over 2 weeks, as some states have done, then rock on. I really enjoy this. As much as I would want Donald Trump to win, or I would want Joe Biden to win, or I would want Joe Jorgensen to win, or I'd want the Bread and Roses Party candidate to win, or the Green Party candidate, or whomever to win. I'm sorry if I'm leaving out your party. I don't mean any mistake. I just don't know them. But as much as I would want anybody to win, it's a matter of the people. I'm only one of 300 plus million people in this United States. My opinion matters just as much as any one of those 300 plus million people in the United States. So going out and voting, that's all you can do. Yeah. I really like the way that the numbers are coming together, and I hope that we break and, shatter records by a colossal amount, like Ricky Henderson's stolen base record.
Right. Yeah. We also called it. We said this election is either going to be characterized as one of the lowest voter turnouts of all time or the highest. And I think we're going for highest. And that
I'm taking the over.
Yeah. Let's take the over, because
I'm not going to lie. So we say a lot of weird projective takes on our sports podcast. We Talk Sports 20 on Twitter, or check us out at We Talk Sports on YouTube every Friday or Saturday or Thursday, whenever we can do it. But we make a lot of takes on there. But here, we don't make a lot of predictions about things. But we said it wasn't going to be close in voter turnout to 2016. We said that from the get-go. I believe that was our first or second podcast. We said that. And it looks like it's going for the higher. So I see this as an absolute win for us.
Right. I mean, voting is, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The best way to make sure you want to make your voice heard is voting. We have that right here, and we have the opportunity to make significant change locally, statewide, and nationwide. Well, the best way to make your voice heard is to run for public office. That's also true.
However, not everybody can, not 300 million people can hold a state office, or even a county office, or a federal office. It's just a matter of how many jobs. At this point, we wouldn't be having any food because nobody would be cooking it. We wouldn't have any cars because nobody would be making them. But for people who don't enjoy politics as their day job, vote. As Gerald said, it's the best way to make your voice heard. And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So moving on to our next topic, we are going to take a look at said election and jump to our favorite site, which is electionbettingodds.com by Betfair and John Stossel.
Yep. Betfair, it's FTX, Smarket, Betfair, and Predicted now on.
And Predicted. Oh, okay. Made by John Stossel.
And Maxim Lott.
So, what do the odds read, Gerald?
Well, right now we are looking at Vice President Joe Biden has been steadily holding around a 60 to 65 between those numbers % chance of being the next president of the United States, or at the very least the next president-elect of the United States.
That's the right term in this case. For either guy is president-elect. Yep. Yeah. Unless I guess for him, because for sitting president 45 Donald Trump, he would continue to be president.
Right. Vice President Biden has gone up by 0.2% in the last day. However, President Trump has increased his amount of probability up to 35.7, which is up 0.6 in the last day. And he was down. He was down to like almost 30. So like he's definitely doing some minor improvements, but it's still not looking the greatest for Mr. President right now.
Well, I've said in the past, and I'll say again, I like this website. It shows the betting odds. It's not your odds of, pollsters. It takes that into account, but it's not the closing odds if you care enough to look at, which we don't much believe in, the closing polls that go out there. But if you want to take a look at it, it is a Google search away. Just a measly 14 or 15 keyboard clicks. Closing is 7. A
Not
space
even that.
is 1.
We have. I put this one in. I always put this one in the description.
Well, for election betting odds, but for if you want to find the closing polls, then then it's not more than 20 keyboard clicks away. You'll have to have a backspace because you'll make a spelling error. Everybody does. It's okay. But just look up closing polls, enter, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. But this takes that into account. It takes past polls like Quinnipiac. It takes into account Vegas odds and experts. And, who's an expert? I don't know. Who knows what an expert is? I could be an expert. I don't know anything, and I'm an expert. But it takes these into account, and we like the odds. However, I would not rest your laurels on them, as we have seen in last election with Hillary Clinton at 90-something% ending up losing the election to some heart-crushing affair at last minute 2016, November 6th, I believe it was, or 8th, one of them. It's an even number. However, I wouldn't rest too highly on these odds, but at the same time, these are nothing more than odds. They could tell the truth. They could be, you might take the underdog on it. However, these are really good things to look at.
If you take the underdog and you win a lot of money.
You win a lot. And moving with this theme of, taking this with a grain of salt, we're going to stick with this betting odds. And Gerald, would you mind posting up the Senate betting odds?
I'm sorry.
I don't know. The Senate betting odds. I don't know if they go state by state or if it just shows.
They go conglomerate and state by state.
All right. Then with important states, I would like you to read those out or put that up if you may.
Yeah, gotcha. Right here. Okay.
Bada bang.
Yeah. So right now, the Senate was almost up to 62% at one point in terms of them winning control. Right now, it's at 56.2 versus the Republicans 43.7. If you remember correctly, the Democrats only had a 42% chance of, or were only favored by 42% to take control of the Senate, like at the beginning of the year, especially after the whole impeachment thing and after all that mess. But now they obviously, after the shifting within the campaign trails and the actual campaign itself, it has since shifted in the favor of the Democrats taking control of the Senate. They have never really gone down below 80% in terms of their control of the House. And honestly, what is it right now? It is only, this is the first time I've checked it in a couple of days, but it has shifted since then. Right now, showing the estimate is back down to a 50-50 Senate. That is down from what they were predicting for the last two to 3 weeks, which is a 51-49 Senate. So we're back into 50-50 territory. If you look at some of these closer races, there's ones that are almost blank. This Senate race in North Carolina is actually 53-46%, or 53.2% to 46.8%. The Senate race in Arizona is actually almost completely favorably now in the Democrats' field, but the Senate race in Iowa has just shifted in favor of the. In the last day, actually, it's gone up 1.5%, meaning just yesterday it was completely dead even, 50-50%. And I think if Iowa doesn't, I think Iowa not turning is it's kind of strange to me. I don't know what the betting odds are doing there, but they must know something. They're putting their money where their mouth is, but it is a complete toss-up. This is the definition of a toss-up in Iowa, the Senate race between Joni Ernst and who is the incumbent and not very favored by her constituents, and then someone else. I know Suzanne Collins, who's running for re-election in the Senate up in Maine, is not doing well at all. She is not the favored candidate, even though she is the incumbent, but also someone who her constituents have grown tired of. And in Montana, it seems as though the Republican lead in Montana is continuing to go down and shift closer. and it's one thing after another. It's getting closer and closer and closer for some of these races, but further and further for some of the other ones. So we'll be interested to see how these things are characterized and how these things pan out on election night as well. So keep an eye on the Senate during the election night bonanza that we're going to have, and we'll see how well things work.
Now, another thing to point out here is with those odds combined, it would give the United States a complete blue takeover. As I believe, Gerald, there was a term for it.
A Democratic trifecta.
Democratic trifecta is that term. And in this case, we are forced to analyze something that we have been talking about, a possibility of, for podcasts and podcasts and podcasts. And this would be the possibility of the District of Columbia becoming the United States' 51st state.
Right.
Now, right here, I have something which I love very much. On this flag, which I understand it is backwards. Do you see something, Gerald, on this? I know you don't have time, but you know how many stars are on this?
I see 50 stars.
Where's the 51st going to go? Is it here? Is this going to go right there? Or like right in the middle? They're going to have to throw the whole flag away.
They're going to have to redesign a little bit. And I know there's options, but there aren't terrible options.
But this has history. This 50.
Well, no, you got to here's where I'm going to, like, the flag argument is a moot point for me because our flag was always designed to change.
No. Trust me, I agree with you. As long as we keep these 13 bars.
13 stripes are going to stay. And if I can also put something up for you, I'm going to put up the a 51 star flag.
All right, let me see if I hate it.
It's not egregious.
I hate it.
No, you don't.
Too many stars.
Oh, yeah, because you can definitely tell the difference.
It's wider.
Anyway.
I hate that one even more.
Oh, the circle one? Yeah, I hate that one too.
I hate that one even more.
This one?
No. The asterisk.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the flag that they hang on every flagpole in Houston.
You know, especially around the stadium.
Houston asterisks. I hate all of these.
I know a lot of these are mock-ups. I honestly, I don't mind it.
I'll tell you why I do not like it, and it's because in this perfect United States flag, it goes 6 5 6 5 6 5 6 5 6, and then it's good, and that all makes it out to be like somewhere around 50. And I haven't really taken time to count. I don't think anybody's really sat down and counted the stars because there could be a lot more. 6 5 6 5 6 5 6 5 6. I mean, I guess, does that give you 50?
What's 6?
Yeah, 30 and 20. So let me see that other flag. Tell me how that goes 51. Because I believe I'm getting too many stars here.
Hold on here.
I guess I'm going to have to pre-order my...
All right, this one goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8, 9, 8, 9, 8. Is that accurate?
I don't believe it is. Oh, yeah, 24 and 27. Yep. Wait, are there 3 9 rows?
Yes. There's 3 of each, 3 8s and 3 9s.
It's too small. I don't like it.
All right.
But
3 9s. Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 rows of 9 and 3 rows of 8.
27, 47, 48, 50. Yeah, 51.
Yep, exactly. So without talking about how much a 51-star flag would be a lot less beautiful than this masterpiece, we are going to go ahead.
The flag that isn't Old Glory.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my personal favorite flag in appearance is the Stars and Bars. But no kind of inclination. I'm just talking about how it looks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. But we have to look at this the DC becoming a state as a possibility, as a distinct possibility. And what are the odds, the betting odds say for it right now?
Right now, the way the betting odds, and they only added this on October 24th, really, is when they started tracking these betting odds. The betting odds right now are saying that their time frame is 2022, which is the midterm election year. And should
No
you know
trifecta
anything,
lasts longer than 2 years.
no trifecta really lasts longer than 2 years. Too much stuff happens. People get fed up. One of the
Oh
chambers is
God,
going to
hold
switch,
on.
if
I
not
got
both.
I got to show you something real quick because I just
Right.
looked over. Yeah, I'm going mobile.
He's going mobile, people.
Look
It's
at that.
cat.
Look at that. No, that's a fat cat. He just
The
sleeping.
the
I've
absolute
never
beauty.
seen that cat sleep. He doesn't sleep. He just lays dormant.
That's fair.
But the DC odds, what are the percentages for that?
The way right now they're characterizing everything, and nothing has changed really at all. This is just the same odds they've had since they started, which is fair considering there has been no really shift in anything happening. I'm guessing as like the day before and the days following election day, we will see how quickly or how much these odds change. But right now they're holding steady at a firm 85.7% chance that no, DC does not become a state before 2022, and only a 14.2% chance that it does become a state before 2022. I know that like one of the biggest things about this is that people would say it would almost completely throw the Senate out of balance in terms of almost always guaranteeing, well, not always guaranteeing, but definitely make it a lot harder for a Republican majority to start, considering that DC has never voted for a Republican president and has never put in a Republican senator, I don't believe, since they've had, no, they don't even have senators.
I don't know senators.
So they wouldn't, yeah. Well, no, then I'm right. They have never put in a Republican senator.
They've also never put in a Republican representative.
That's also true. But
So,
in
oh,
any
they've
case,
also never put together a Republican governor
that, that's right.
or a Democratic senator. You never put in a Democrat senator, never put in a Democrat representative, and never put in a Democrat mayor.
The
Or not
idea,
mayor, a Democrat governor. I believe
the,
they've only put Democrat mayors.
the idea behind me saying this is that it's almost a certainty that two more Democratic senators would be in the Senate if the number goes up to 102, with DC becoming the 51st state, which actually would still keep its moniker or postal code as DC. It would change its name to the Douglas Commonwealth, by the way.
Are you real? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, Eleanor Holmes Norton was the one who put it in committee and got it passed the last time. It has been passed. That law has been passed by the House, but it's
So,
just
so it's not the District of Columbia. It's the Douglas Commonwealth.
no. It right now is the District of Columbia, but it should have gained statehood. It becomes the Douglas Commonwealth.
Yeah, nobody's calling it that.
Oh, they're just calling it DC.
It's just DC. Yep.
Yeah.
Where do you live, DC? That's
Yeah.
it. Where do you live? I, sir, live in the Douglas Commonwealth. No, that doesn't work.
But the big, the argument is that this would almost like surefire way of throwing the Senate out of balance and make it harder for Republicans, and they would never agree to it. Yada 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 yada. We have found a way, I think, because they say if DC becomes a state, then there's also a possibility that Puerto Rico becomes a state.
And then you've got all the other United States territories.
Yeah, I don't know if they would add Guam.
All right, you know what? I don't want DC for a state, but let's go Guam.
Let's go
Guam gang.
Guam for the wing.
Guam gang. Guam's going to be that one star. We've got the 50 right over here, and Guam is just going to be sitting in like this corner down here, just chilling.
Yeah, tiny little star.
Tiny star.
But one way to balance all of these potentially new Democratic states, because the way the U.S. has almost always added states is in pairs. It's almost even throughout the Civil War era, pair pairing them, 1 and 2 states, 1 and 2 states, 1 and 2 states.
Aside from Hawaii and Alaska being claimed.
Well, Alaska was bought, Hawaii was claimed, but they also added them in kind of near each other to offset. So there was almost
if we started with 13 and now we have 50, then something doesn't sound right.
Well, you started with 13 colonies, but Vermont.
Then we had the Mississippi Purchase, the Louisiana Purchase.
Vermont wasn't, or either New Hampshire or Vermont wasn't one of the original 13 colonies.
I don't believe Vermont was.
So it was like split in half between the land of the both states.
Then we also had the Louisiana Purchase, which gave us a weird number of states just given immediately. Yeah. And then westward expansion.
What a steal the Louisiana Purchase was.
I mean, what a steal Alaska was. It's half of the size of the entire contiguous United States, and we bought it for $3 million. Russia said, yeah, we can't really defend that anymore. Do you guys want it? And we said, hell yeah. Yeah. Why wouldn't
we love bears?
Who doesn't? And then we have 2 cities. We have... Wait, what are the cities in Alaska? Juneau? Is that in Alaska? That's the capital.
Yeah.
And then there's the port town. Anchorage. Yeah. That's it. That's all we have in Alaska. Everything else is snow.
Oh, we also have Deadliest Catch.
Huh?
We also have Deadliest Catch.
Excellent show.
Absolutely
excellent show.
10 out of 10.
Pinnacle.
Recommend.
Pinnacle of Discovery Channel was when Bear Grylls and Deadliest Catch were on one after the other. Dude, there's nothing I enjoy more than seeing some dudes catch some massive crabs. Pause. That sounds really, really not great, but yeah.
Anyway, point being, adding a balance of states that will counteract each other usually is the compromise that the U.S. likes to go to. You add D.C., you have to find another state to kind of counter that. And I think I may have figured out the option, which is the fact that in the Texas state constitution, which is valid because of the way the treaties worked out after, Texas becoming an independent republic or something, and then not, and then the Alamo, something, Texas, Lone Star State. That sums it up pretty well, right?
It's just weird because it's not really a lone star. Like, there's kind of a lot of them.
Right.
I don't know which one Texas is. Probably like this one.
Probably.
I like to think of Texas as being like this star.
In any case, there's a clause in the Texas state constitution that allows it's a state itself to split into 5 different states. That could potentially even things out should everyone want to add something in bulk. And I don't think that splitting sequence has to go through Congress because it's a state constitution issue. So it would just be, I guess we have 4 new states now. So if you want to add DC and Puerto Rico and consider the implications of unevenness, you have to think about, okay, the way to counteract that, Texas splits itself. 4 out of those 5 new states are going to be almost completely Republican based on Texas's nature. And one of them is going to be either mixed or blue.
Well,
so that would even things out.
Yeah, well, in my division, in my mind, you've got the Austin and then eastward segment, or you've got the Austin segment, the Houston segment, the Dallas segment. Then underneath you have the San Antonio. And then you have a western, northern type.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here's a way to do it, actually. It says that the compromise was designed to overcome objections of annexation. It said in 1985, a joint resolution admitted Texas to the Union, provided that Texas could be divided into as many as 5 states, meaning you could just divide it into 4. You could split it in 2.
Yeah.
Split it in 2, 3, or 4.
Well, technically, they could group together the metropolitan areas and make that a state, and then also take the larger Commonwealth of Texas and make that one because it's state dictated and not by a popular vote.
Right. So I mean, there are options for them to even this out should that happen. So I
If
think
one state makes it, hey, Texas could make one blue zone and two red, or they could make one blue, one bigger red, or one blue, four red. They could do whatever they want. It's Texas, man. Everything's bigger in Texas, including their constitutional laws.
yeah. So don't mess with Texas.
No. And you know what would happen if you divided Texas into 5 parts? Is when it came to it, any matter concerning Texas would turn every 5 part into one big Texas.
We have big Texas.
We have accumulated big Texas.
We have acquired.
Shout out Alex for big Texas.
There you go.
So the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the most recent presidential debate. We have been off the air for a little while, taking sort of sabbatical for each of us on different times. However, time doesn't stop for us. Time is a flat circle. It keeps going around and around. So we're going to take a week-long trip back and talk about this last debate. Now, Gerald, do you have any takeaways that you saw?
That was a debate, which is something you can't say about the first presidential encounter, I'll call it.
Encounter is exactly right.
There was much less back talking. There was much more, as Grant had put it when he was with us when we reviewed the first debate, much more decorum, and I think maybe even a little more mutual manners and respect for each candidate and to the moderator, who actually I think did a pretty good job of making sure follow-up questions were part of the equation and allowing responses, but also keeping the momentum going of the debate. I think comments were made that I think will actually impact. I've not seen a polling impact in a negative fashion for what I thought I would see, but time will tell because polls are polls and certain things only work, can only be seen on election day or after the election results are counted. In terms of President Trump's performance, he was much less interruptive, seemed a little more controlling of himself, instead of just trying to attack it would no matter what and try to get his point across. He actually tried to make reasonable points and then get those across and push those a little more instead of just whatever came to his mind first. So his debate team definitely did an amazing job of getting him ready for that debate in terms of his ability to manage himself and his clock and his time. But also, one negative thing I saw about it, he keeps on pushing this Hunter Biden Burisma thing that just keeps on like coming up, and it's basically, and I think one analyst put it up together. He is basically presenting his view of what life is like in America through the Fox News filter. And for what it's worth, Fox Business we both like. Fox News, however, different story. And one of the things that it really just I think a negative that just is not helping President Trump win any voters in the middle is he keeps on trying to push whatever he hears on Fox News as complete factual information when it really isn't, and that I think that's going to bite him in terms of independent voters. Now, Joe Biden, on the other hand, he almost kept his debate performance the same. He didn't really need to attack much more. He got a little more a little more speaking time, but when we, so he still did pretty well in managing himself, managing his clock. But also one big negative, and we're gonna spend just a couple minutes talking about this. One big negative that I said I have yet to see affect his poll numbers, but I think it will affect them in certain states. Was his comment on fracking and oil and energy dependency, and Donald Trump I think did a good job of trying to make sure get a clear answer out of him. saying, he was going to do his utmost to get rid of oil and the oil industry and the fracking process, which is really big in Pennsylvania, really big in Texas, Oklahoma, and other states of blue collar working class citizens and voters. So, again, both of them had good positives, definitely improvements from last election, but both of them also, I think, had negatives that I think will affect them pretty significantly on election day. And I think, again, it's anyone's game at this point still.
I 100% agree on everything you said, especially, and we're going to get to this in just a minute or two, on the bit about Biden's comment on fracking. I think that Trump showed his grit when it came to criminal justice reform and immigration. I wish personally that they would have. The Trump campaign said that they wanted to, and they believe that this debate was focused more on foreign policy issues, which, in my opinion, has been one of Donald Trump's strongholds that has not been acknowledged. But we haven't had international conflict. We haven't given in to demands of rogue countries like Iran or North Korea or China. Instead, there's embargoes, and not to mention the biggest thing is probably the elimination of ISIS from being a world terror. It really doesn't exist anymore. You hear, there's an occasional, oh, ISIS is still there. Yeah, but it's not dominating news headlines. Joe Biden, on the other hand, really did hold up well under pressure. Debating Donald Trump is not an easy feat, and he overcame his past challenges of stuttering and making false steps. But to his credit, he did make lines in telling Trump off at certain points and just telling him to just shut up. I agree with that. However, he did not acknowledge his wrongdoings in his famous crime bill, and also which the Trump campaign brought up was the Hunter Biden issue, taking money from foreign powers. So at this specific debate, I would chalk this up as a Trump win. However, that's aside from him being a foolish monkey, he hasn't gotten another win, right? Like he hasn't lost in these debates. The only thing chalking away from him is that he's kind of famous around the show, kind of an asshole. That's pretty much it. But I would like to really quickly, before we move on, touch on his comments towards Pennsylvania. And if you have that 270 to win map up, I would like to chalk mine.
Yeah, we can. Let me get this prepared. Let me get you on a blank.
Correct. Yep.
All right. Let me get you a blank map ready. We're going to share the screen in just a second. But yeah, I think this is definitely going to affect something. And even though this is why sometimes you got to be always skeptical of polling, because right now that should be showing in polls, but it isn't. So you got to be.
All right. So we'll give West Coast to blue, as always.
Yeah, Washington, Oregon, and California.
Give New York and Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland,
DC,
New Jersey, Connecticut. Yep. Those and Illinois blue, because they got Chi-Town. Then red, Bible Belt, and flyover.
Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Louisiana.
Yep. So here's my belief on how this is going to go. I believe Nevada is going to go blue. I think that's the way it goes. I think Wisconsin and Michigan are also going to go blue. Minnesota, I think, could go red, and I'm going to just chalk it up to red at this point.
Okay.
Leave it even because I don't have a dog in that. I think blue. I think red. Iowa. Ooh, that's a toss up, but it's not really. I believe Iowa is going to go blue. Personally,
Okay.
Colorado's going to go blue. New Mexico's going to go blue. I think Ohio is going to go blue, and Virginia is going to go blue.
Ohio's going to go blue, and Virginia.
Correct.
Okay.
Texas is red. Big Texas. Arizona, I think, is going to go red based off of the immigration and policy for domestic. Georgia, Florida, they're red. Nothing's changing. South Kakalaki, as you already chalked up. Georgia's going red in Florida. I have no doubt in my heart.
Hold on, let me add Alaska and Hawaii real quick.
Yeah. Sure. Now with North Carolina, it is a real toss-up because the issue that we come to here is will the actual areas make sense for getting vote? And I think North Kakalaki is going red. I do think, though, Minnesota is going blue, as I haven't already stated.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a hard chalk. I think Maine is going 3 blue, 1 red. And then Pennsylvania, because of Joe Biden's comments about fracking, I believe Pennsylvania is red.
All right. Well, this is these are some significant changes from the last time we've done our maps. But let's see what the results show. 282 to 256.
It's close.
It's an extremely. We've said, look, everyone's been saying, oh, he's going to win 350 something electoral. We've been calling it a close election from the start.
We said it was 269. But if anything, I'm going to put it here, right now. If anything, 45 is winning one of the Great Lakes states.
One of the three.
One of the three. Give him Wisconsin.
Okay.
What does that change?
72 to 66.
Right. I think and another thing that I faulted. Give Biden back Wisconsin and give Trump Ohio, because looking back, that was hasty. I don't see Ohio going blue. What does this run?
This is 274, 264.
As I said, I'm here. If I have one point of contention where I think Joe Biden could make up in this map, is Arizona or Pennsylvania, and that's it. That's ball game. Those are the battleground states of this election. That's it. I don't see another, if and or even but. And Iowa could also run red, in which case would make Arizona, if it went blue. What if Arizona went blue?
There goes your tie.
That's the tie. So I think Iowa has a chance to go red or a chance to go blue. I think Arizona has a chance to go red. If they match up and everything else happens, we've got a tie ball game, and that's decided by the Senate, the sitting Senate, correct?
The sitting House.
The sitting House.
By state.
Oh, okay. So, wait, by each state?
By the majority, the people vote by state. So that would be, all right, all delegates from so-and-so, how do you vote?
And they vote as one state.
Yeah.
Oh, then it's 45 for another term. We won't see another 40. We won't see 46 for 4 more years.
If the House has to vote on a tie, then yes.
Wow.
So let me see. Let me put in some of these. Let me see. New York. I'm making my map real quick.
All of New England. But it's interesting how what I put up first, I guess not first, but to the end of it after just looking at states that I put real quick. 269, 269. That takes me back to square one.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
My very first map. And I believe that is true. I think PA is going red. I know Florida is going red. Texas, that's not a doubt. It's red. But Arizona and Iowa, if each one of them stays what they were, then we've got a toss-up ball game. And it won't get any more fun than that. Also, be sure to tune in if you're sticking around so far through the podcast. We will have an election special on election night, joined by co-host on the sports podcast, the man, the myth, the legend, P.J. Dolan, hosted an in-person, safely, in-person podcast analyzing every moment of the debate. So tune in live to us while you watch your CNN. Do whatever you want, but we're going to be there.
Every moment of you mean every moment of the election?
Every moment of the election, not the whole thing. You know, we're not gonna be there all day, and then we're also not gonna be there the week after when they're counting it.
But that night.
All right, Gerald, show me what you got.
All right. Wait, let me put Virginia blue as well, because that's almost a surefire thing at this point. But in terms of everything else, Nevada is also closer than people realize, but I still think it's going to go blue. I believe the Great Lakes are going to go blue, all three of them, honestly. Considering...
I know exactly what our differentiator is. Keep going.
Gotcha. I think Arizona, in my opinion, is going to go blue. Texas had its chance, and even though it's still close, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Red for today. Georgia is one of my wild cards, I'll be honest, because Georgia, polling right now is showing 47 point. The conglomerate on RCP is 47.2% versus 46.8, which is a 0.4% difference. And albeit it's in favor of President Trump, that's too close for anyone's comfort. I'm going to leave it blank for the moment. Iowa is also right on the cusp, especially in its Senate race, which people are very energized about. So if they're going out to vote for the senators, they're going to go out and vote for president. Also a toss-up. I'm going to leave it blank for right now. Ohio, in my humble opinion, it's history. It's based on betting odds. Even though polls are showing otherwise, I still think it's going to go red, honestly. That being said, New Mexico, Colorado, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Almost all of what Ohio was is going to be covered by Colorado, New Mexico, save for electoral votes. I am going to show the switch right now, because technically right now there is they're projecting a switch in each one of in Nebraska and Maine, but they switch off, so it's going to be irrelevant about in the total count of things. But just want to put that there. I'm going to say Iowa. Actually, Pennsylvania, in my opinion. I'll be honest. Even though I think the impact of that fracking and the gas and all that is going to take effect, I don't think it's going to take effect right now.
And that was where I called that we would have our big switch, was on right. Pennsylvania. We've been against each other for the beginning since we've done this.
Yeah, and I just think the president isn't doing enough in Pennsylvania. I don't think. Well, he's campaigning a lot there right now, and polls are showing just a tiny bit closer, but not significant enough change, and not enough time left for that to be happening. If Joe Biden would have said this, or if President Trump would have drawn out that response from Joe Biden in the first debate, we would have seen those numbers stay lower, and give President Trump the advantage in Pennsylvania. Had he seized on that moment, but unfortunately, I just don't think there's enough time for them to switch. And I personally think Joe Biden knows he has too much writing to let anything happen in Pennsylvania, so he's just going to keep on pounding. I think these last 7 days, he's going to at least 4 of those days be in Pennsylvania or something. At least 3 or 4 of those days going to be in Pennsylvania, because he knows President Trump has already been there in 2 or 3 different events per day in Pennsylvania, so he knows how important Pennsylvania is. Pennsylvania is going to be the state that decides the election this year, but I think it is going to go blue. That being said, Iowa, I think, is going to go red, but I think the Senate is going to turn blue in Iowa, but the presidential presidential candidate, I think is going to go red. Is going to go red. North Carolina is a bit of a mystery to me because it's completely even right now. It's as close as Georgia. These three states that are blank right now: Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Again, the SEC making impacts throughout the entire country. Is North Carolina in the SEC?
No, it is not. It's ACC.
The ACC making a big splash for once.
Well, the Georgia and Florida are SEC.
Oh, well, they're in both, aren't they?
No.
Well, Florida is.
Florida's basketball is ACC.
But anyway, North Carolina, I think, is going to go blue. And that's going to be offset by Georgia staying red, I'll be honest, even though I have a hunch that I think it's just too close for anyone to really think it's solid in any way. But I'm going to stay with red for right now. We will definitely talk about this on election day and definitely on election night to see how voting is turning. Voter counts and polls are turning and betting odds and everything. And then Florida, as much as I would think Joe Biden still had a chance. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Florida's going to stay red, honestly.
And let's see that final number.
Let's see this final number right now. Everything's filled in.
Biden by
still 305. Yeah. My goodness.
So
it's really what it is. It's Pennsylvania, because if I switch this out and I give you
in North Carolina, Pennsylvania and North Carolina were our deals.
Yeah, and that's 270, 268.
Well, and that came out to the Nebraska, which I don't think is going to run blue in a single portion. I think Nebraska is all in.
So then it would also be
260, and that's the only difference in our map.
Right.
Is you have Nebraska taking one district, you have Pennsylvania, and you have North Kakalaki.
Yeah.
So those are what we are going to watch for on election night. We will be watching for the entire rest of the country. We'll be watching for your votes in particular, wherever you may come from. But those are our three things to watch: our Nebraska districts, the Pennsylvania, and North Kakalaki. So on next podcast, we are going to talk more about the very recent appointment of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who becomes the 113th Justice of the United States of America. We will be talking more about that. We will be following election news as it hits. This is going to be a long podcast next week, but stick with us for that. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit the subscribe button, and that's really it. And tune in next Tuesday. We'll be starting our podcast. Gerald, you got a time that you want to start the podcast?
I'm thinking about maybe
like 6 p.m.
Yeah, it'll be more of a drive, almost more of the. I know podcasts, we try to limit them to around an hour and a half.
No, this is going to be like 6 hours. This is going to be a long cast.
It's going to be a long cast, and it's going to be a long night. But have us along for the ride, because who wants to go to sleep on election night?
And this is also going to be a mixture of our Let's Talk Politics, or our We Talk Politics, and our We Talk Sports show, because we have PJ Dolan. So we will be discussing a myriad of anything we want to talk about during that time. So
we will also try to have maybe some speaking guests if we can get them on the air for our, for your informational desires, if we can.
So if you wish to come on for a 15-minute span, 5-minute span, 3-minute, whatever, however long you're a decently good guest, leave a comment or find us on any of our platforms that we're on. We Talk Sports, We Talk Politics, or our We Talk Sports Twitter. You can find us there. And if you send a message, then we will hope to have you in line to be somebody to talk to during election night. As always, I have been Corey.
And I have been Gerald.
And this has been We Talk Politics. And we will see you next Tuesday for the election night special. Can't wait to see you there.
We'll see you there. All right.